On April 26, 1986, they were running a safety test, and the nuclear reactor exploded. In the weeks and months following, there was a massive effort to put the genie back in the lamp.
This has been a mammoth production.
Everything is big on Chernobyl. Our sets, our locations, the size of our team. It's big.
It's very easy to think of this as a disaster film, and it's not. It's a story about people.
Absolutely true heroism.
The Soviet state is squarely at the center of it.
Everybody was afraid of the system.
Containment.
Lies.
That is how a reactor core explodes.
Chernobyl was a nuclear power plant in Soviet Ukraine. On April 26, 1986, they were running a safety test that went horribly wrong, and the nuclear reactor exploded.
I'm pleased to report that the situation in Chernobyl is stable. In terms of radiation, I'm told it's the equivalent of a chest X-ray.
What baffled me was how little I knew about what actually happened and the magnitude of the whole thing.
Chernobyl was a nuclear accident that was unprecedented.
They have to figure out how to stop the nuclear fuel from melting down into the water and poisoning the continent of Europe.
I don't understand, this isn't a fire.
The heat will instantly vaporize the water.
How do we put it out?
There was no way to safely solve this problem.
Everything is complex. How can we make the least damage?
You see this cataclysmic event unfolding in so many different directions.
750,000 people helped cleaning this place up.
People who worked at the plant, people who were sent to Chernobyl to clean up this impossibly contaminated area, an area that is still off limits today. Their stories are remarkable.
Everyone has this notion of what they think Chernobyl was about or what happened. I certainly didn't realize the extent of what went on.
It's not just a story about a nuclear power plant blowing up. To me, it's a story about people.
I thought it was a story I knew. And then this just showed me what an incredible story there was behind the truth that I knew.
I grew up in Sweden and I was there in '86 when it happened, and it was a big deal for us there.
I have very vivid memories of it. I wasn't allowed to go outside when it rained for quite some time.
It was a very shocking event, but at no time did I have any sense that it was anything other than a terrible accident.
There was a system that had created the conditions that led to Chernobyl happening.
It's an incredible story about when power gets corrupted and when the truth is buried, and it has such resonance now.
Today, more than ever, it's really important that people search out the truth.
We all had a tour of the town and the reactor, and it was just the most remarkable place to be.
There are 3 other reactors. They're not producing nuclear energy, but they are functioning in certain aspects. There's still people who are working in those hallways that our characters walk down.
We came away with a real sense of duty to try and tell that story as authentically and as truthfully as we could.
It's not just a piece of fiction, it's a testament of the history of mankind.
Had they not been successful, it could have been a planetary-wide disaster. The divers, the miners, the people that went up onto the roof, those were truly heroic sacrifices that those people made.
It's important that the world would know a bit more about those people, even though we're never gonna know their names.
It's something that can't be forgotten because the consequence of the explosion and the actions that were taken afterwards are something that exists even today. And what has really been so unique about this is that every single person feels responsible to tell the story as truthfully as possible and be provocative in how we tell that truth.
12,000 Rodkin. And in no circumstances can men go up there.
It would be fair to say that that piece of roof is the most dangerous place on Earth.
The Soviets, and particularly the people of Ukraine and Russia and Belarus, threw themselves at this task in a way that is shocking and beautiful and also terrifying and heartbreaking.
These are the most important 90 seconds of your lives.
We're talking about 700,000 people being sent to clean up this impossibly contaminated area, an area that is still off limits today.
Pavel represents all these innocent men coming into this grinder, you know, and then being spat out on the other side. You're not going to walk away with an experience, you know, it's not that at all. So it's very similar to war. It's the pointlessness of that. Here I am, I'm 18, I'm going somewhere, I'm killing a bunch of people, I'm coming back. Has it made anything better for anyone? No, because that's not the way it works, you know, and here I am now being dehumanized, basically.
Nuclear power and nuclear weapons were not just aspects of Soviet pride, this was among their most protected secret industries.
Well, the state must protect its secrets, comrade.
And when nuclear isotopes that were a decay product of Soviet fuel ended up in Sweden, then the cat was out of the bag.
It's humiliating.
They needed to admit to the world not only that this had happened, but that they hadn't told anybody until they got caught. And as a result, they attempted to try and tell the truth, up to a point.
The truth? Is that what you're going to say in Vienna?
She's sort of similar to the Horatio character in Hamlet, in that she is his conscience.
You have a chance to talk to the world, Valeri. It goes kind of to the heart of your humanity, really. You've got to stand up and be counted, no matter what the consequences, when the stakes are this high.
Tomchuk says, tell the truth, at whatever price. Chervina says, tell whatever truth is necessary and keep the lid on the truth that will just make it harder for us to work and improve things. We can make a deal with the KGB. You have to make choices that has a chance to survive in a system like that. You have to lie a little to make things happen. And that is the conflict with the more idealistic Tomchuk, who has this passion for truth, no matter what the consequences.
Go public. Force the Central Committee to take action. Chervina is at a very high level, and he's involved in the politics of it all and the kind of level where people just get shut up and they get incarcerated. And I say to him, well, look, these are all the people who just gave their lives unthinkingly. What about them? There's your example. To hell with your deal. To hell with our lives. Someone has to start telling the truth.
Why worry about something that isn't going to happen?
Oh, that's perfect. They should put that on our money.
What's really interesting is how the ideology of the Soviet Union, the idea of a system that was infallible, and the fear of people to point out any flaws or mistakes, everything had to be perfect, and you had to pretend it was perfect. Any system with too strong an ideology, whether it's the idea of a perfect nation or a perfect belief, leads to exclusion of facts.
The West is now satisfied that Chernobyl was solely the result of operator error, which it essentially was.
When you start to look at all the different causes of this accident to happen, it's the sort of accumulation of that kind of a mentality, which is, it's more convenient to believe comfortable truths and comfortable facts than it is to have to face difficult choices and difficult realities.
Well, it's time. Maybe a year.
Chervina, he's confronted with his sense of mortality, that he's presented with that idea of what was his life worth and did it mean anything? Did he have an impact on this situation? Because he was a party man, because he was an insider, he knew how to get the machinery of the state to work.
God's sakes, Boris. You were the one who mattered most.
Dyatlov, who's been this very stubborn, recalcitrant person who refuses to accept any responsibility for what happened.
I wasn't in the room when they raised the power.
Anatoly Dyatlov made decisions no rational person should have ever made. He made crazy choices.
I haven't reviewed, we only just found out we're there, review it.
In the trial, Dyatlov historically does say the following thing: I will not say that I am guilty, but I cannot say that I am not. And I thought that was a remarkable expression of at least the potential of guilt. It was very Soviet in its own way, the statement, to have it both ways.
The trial is, as always, we want to find who's guilty. The people's lust for revenge, which is something really, really dangerous, it makes it very attractive to find scapegoats and throw as meat to the dogs.
Once it's over, we will have our villains, we will have our hero, we will have our truth.
We established pretty early on what mistakes did those people do in the control room. But the thing is that the system was guilty.
Professor Legasov, if you mean to suggest the Soviet state is somehow responsible for what happened, then I must warn you, you are treading on dangerous ground.
That is how an RBMK reactor core explodes. Lies.